Bronze and Modern Gods, you saw the logo. I'm John.
Hey, I'm Richard.
As it says right here below, together again. I'm going to turn that off right now. We are here. Not a lot happening this week. It's going to be a really short show.
Yep.
We have the audience, live audience, hi live audience. We've got our main topic, which is big changes at Marvel this week. We're going to talk about that a bit. We've got underrated books of the week. We've got the old fart rule, everybody's favorite, and our hot book of the week. Richard, what is it?
Our hot book this week is Uncle Scrooge number 295.
Oh, my.
Disney just banned this issue from future reprints and collections due to some questionable art choices for Bombi the Zombie and Fula Zula.
I'm already dreading seeing the images pop up on the screen here with us.
Yeah, I'm always cognizant of comic art around the time period, right? Mm-hmm. When you originally showed me these, because I hadn't seen this book before.
Right.
When you originally showed me the artwork from it, I thought it was a book from the 40s. It looks like a book from the 40s.
No.
But it's not.
1995 by Don Rosa.
Ooh, that's a tough book to defend.
Don Rosa was drawing new Uncle Scrooge stories really much in the vein of Carl Barks, and this was when the orders weren't very high on these Disney books, so there was not a lot of them out there. But this year, Mr. Rosa got an email from Disney, and I'm going to read the email. I'm going to quote the email. As part of its ongoing commitment to diversity and inclusion, the Walt Disney Company is in the process of reviewing their library of stories. As a result, some stories that do not align with their values will no longer be published. This applies to two of your classic stories, The Richest Duck in the World and The Dream of a Lifetime. These stories will not be part of any reprints or new collections. Now, the bad part for collectors here is they'll never be reprinted again because these were part of a longer story called The Life and Times of Uncle Scrooge, Scrooge McDuck. So they can never reprint that story in full anymore because we just talked about this last week, didn't we? About
yes, we did.
Racial depictions in comics.
Yeah. I feel bad for the collectors who are trying to complete their run. But if you find this book, the value of this book is going to be increased because we know it will never be reprinted.
Raws are $75 to $80 on eBay right now. Interesting, no CGC sales since this announcement was made. The last sale on GPA was for CGC 9.8 last year, October 2022. For a whopping $56. That seems like a steal now, doesn't it?
It does seem like a steal.
The good thing about these Walt Disney books is they're in quarter boxes and dollar bins because nobody buys them. The later Gladstone ones are definitely scarcer, so they do command a premium. But next convention, dig for Uncle Scrooge 295. I'm gonna be looking now.
Yeah, so am I.
Wow, crazy. Well, let's go on to our main topic. Again, not a lot of news this week. Really quiet. Oh my God!
Oh yeah, you shot me this. You shot me and Forrest this link to the news, and I was. I thought it was inevitable.
Yeah,
is how I felt about it.
For you guys who don't know what we're talking about, Disney had a bunch of layoffs this week, and as part of their restructuring, they got rid of the entire division called Marvel Entertainment. Now, to be specific, Marvel Entertainment is not Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios is the movie and TV and film division. Marvel Entertainment handles consumer products, licensing, things like that, and publishing. Yes, Marvel Comics. It's just been made redundant. Along with it, our good friend Ike Perlmutter, everyone's favorite CEO, the guy who just gutted Marvel a long time ago. And I don't want to dance on the career grave of an 80-year-old man, but in this case, I'm happy to do a jig.
Hey, he's got Disney stock, he's got Marvel stock, he's comfortable.
He's fine. We don't have to shed a tear for old Ike here. Dan Buckley, the president of Marvel Entertainment, he's going to stay around. The guy who is the president of the comic division, and he's going to be reporting to Kevin Feige.
If there's a silver lining, that's the silver lining.
Exactly. Now, Ike Perlmutter has not been involved with Marvel movies since 2015, when he fought with Kevin Feige over costs related to Doctor Strange. Just to tell you what a great visionary Ike Perlmutter is, he wanted to fire Kevin, the man who basically made a multi-billion dollar enterprise.
Multi-billion, yeah.
Now, since then, Perlmutter's job has been limited to comics publishing, which, by the way, generates 40 to 60 million in sales annually, according to some analysts. Mm-hmm. Now, is that profit or is that gross revenues? That seems like a really high number. I don't know if I believe that number.
Really? I could see it if it was gross.
Okay.
I could see it as gross. But profit, I could never see that much profit coming out of comics right now.
Before anybody gets too worked up and concerned about the fate of the comic book division, let me tell you some of Mr. Perlmutter's greatest hits. Used to pluck paper clips out of the garbage in the Marvel offices to force people to reuse them. People at Marvel still talk about the time he suggested serving potato chips at the movie premiere to save on catering costs. To closely monitor activities at Marvel offices, he at one point installed at least 20 cameras before Disney had them removed. When Don Cheadle was hired to replace Terrence Howard in Iron Man, Perlmutter allegedly told a Disney consumer products executive that no one would notice because black people, quote, looked the same. We'll miss you, Ike Perlmutter. Thank you for your service. You don't mind this swift kick on the ass on the way out.
Yeah, it's time. It's obviously time for a change. But I think the real story here is Disney. Mr. Iger, who runs Disney, has decided he does not need the separation of Marvel from Disney anymore.
No.
So now Disney is just going to be another brand Marvel's going to be a brand within Disney, and those walls that have kept them separate are going to disappear. Does that mean, and my fear, that means comics, which don't generate a significant, if you look at how much comics generate in terms of profit versus just one Marvel movie,
right?
It's infinitesimal. And does that mean that now that it is not a separate entity, it's going to simply disappear? Or
I don't think we have anything to worry about because it's absolutely research and development for Marvel Studios. Think about the comic books that under this, the last few years, last 20 years, that have been repurposed as media properties.
Oh, yeah.
Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl, Riri Williams, Ironheart, She-Hulk even. All this stuff was Captain Marvel, the Carol Danvers version. All this stuff was repurposed from the comics. Marvel's been very smart about staying as close to the source material as possible. Mm-hmm. And I think DC actually is taking a page from that book now with James Gunn going over there. They're redoing the comics to make it more movie friendly, like this whole Superman family relaunch that they're doing. That's with an eye to making it a movie property. I don't think the comics division has anything to worry about. In fact, I'm sure people are probably breathing a sigh of relief that Dan Buckley is now out from under Perlmutter. He was co-reporting to Feige and Perlmutter.
Okay.
That's not the case anymore. As someone who's had two bosses in the past, it is much easier to report to one person, especially when that person is more mentally and creatively aligned with you.
I see whatever happens, we're going to see a closer alignment between what happens in the comics and what happens in the movie and TV shows.
Right.
My fear, though, is comics become simply a vehicle to premiere ideas that are going to be in the movies, and it's simply that. and you're going to start seeing horrible things like product placements in the comics.
That's already happening. They've already done product placements in Marvel books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was very much under the Bill Jemas, Joe Quesada era. They were doing product placements,
Okay.
and they were very open about it. It hasn't been so much in the recent times, unless it's been so subtle we've missed it. But speaking of Joe Quesada,
Yes.
we have more news, people. It doesn't stop there. Marvel's former editor-in-chief, Joe Quesada, signs a first-look deal with Amazon. Under this deal, Quesada will develop film and TV projects with a focus on adapting comic book IP, including both new and existing titles.
Does he have ownership of any characters?
Yeah, the Ash, stuff like that he did for, I think it was called Event Comics was the company that he and Jimmy Palmiotti had. But that doesn't mean it has to be his properties. You know what I mean? He could be doing, like Invincible. He would be in charge of finding things like that and bringing it to Amazon, from the way I understand it.
That's awesome. I think that's a great pick. Joe Quesada is so knowledgeable in the industry and the backstories of all the different comic brands. It's a great pick. I hope that something really comes of it. We have these first look things that happen, and it's sometimes it's
Cashing a check.
yeah, like Mark Millar about this, him and his properties. So I hope something comes of it, and I hope we see something produced or sourced from Joe Quesada. That would be awesome.
It's one of those wait and see things. I'm glad he's got another gig. I think he's an incredibly intensely creative person. I think he saved Marvel Comics, starting with his Daredevil run in Marvel Knights. Shout out to Forrest, a DD Comics fan. Boy, do you know that run of Daredevil was more than 20? Hey, wait, it's not 25 years old this week.
No.
What rule is it, Richard?
It's the old fart rule.
Old fart rule. 40 years back, we go to 1983 to the books that shaped us as old farts. Richard, you picked this, and I got excited.
I picked Marvel Comics US 1, number 1. Anybody from the 80s has seen this book somewhere. I swear they must have printed 12 million copies of this thing.
Think about it. It came after, it was another toy adaptation. It was a Hasbro toy with a semi-truck that you could run on a track called US 1. And it came after G.I. Joe, Team America, Transformers, Micronauts. I mean, Micronauts, G.I. Joe, and Transformers were big successes.
Right.
So why not have this one in Crystar? I mean, you can't win them all. But I don't think anybody thought this was going to be a huge success because it was announced as a 12-issue series.
Oh, okay.
Well,
this was the first appearance of famous characters like
Ulysses S. Archer.
Yes.
Get it?
Yes, I get it. Papa Wheelie. Wide Load Annie. I didn't realize it was from the get-go only a 12-issue series.
They kind of said so when they made... I remember reading in the Comic Reader that, they announced it, and then about issue 4, they made it really clear when the critical drubbing began. It's just a 12-issue series, everybody. Settle down. Because you had this insane story by Al Milgrom about a trucker who is stalked by someone called the Highwayman. He wrecks his semi. He has his skull fractured, so they replace his skull with like a metal cybernetic skull, and he can now receive CB transmissions through his teeth and his skull. That's the superpower, I guess. I don't know what he would do now that CB is no longer a thing.
He has Wi-Fi reception.
I guess he's he's pre-5G. He started at 5G. And you've got that. You've got aliens involved at the end. Spoiler. It's crazy. It's craziness. Written by Al Milgrom, drawn mostly by Frank Springer, so you know it's gonna look great. But it's all wrapped behind these beautiful Michael Golden covers.
Yeah, why'd they spend that money?
Michael Golden.
Yeah.
Michael Golden. I don't get it, but yeah, good pick there. Any idea what these sell for? I know.
Oh, you do?
Nothing.
Yeah. I didn't even bother looking these up.
They're free. Come get your US one.
It's a piece of Americana.
It's a piece of what?
Americana.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else.
If you're looking for the full experience from the 80s, read this book. I wouldn't pay more than $1, maybe $2 if it's near mint. But yeah, US one. This is a joke for our friend Evan because he talks about this book all the time.
It's absolutely a piece of something. US one. Moving on to our underrated books of the week. Richard, what do you have?
Yeah, I picked this time a stack of books instead of just one, just because we are here and I could pull them out.
All right.
Yeah, lift them out.
What we got?
I've got a bunch of Fantastic Four. In this case, I've got Fantastic...
That camera right there.
That camera right there. Yeah, so I have a bunch of Fantastic Fours. I've got issue number 39, which is a gorgeous Doom cover.
Nice. Inked by who?
Joe Sinott, right?
No. You
Oh,
failed.
I failed that. Okay.
We
I'm
talked
sorry.
about this
Yes, we
before the
did.
show started. Inked by Vinnie Coletta. Ew. And except for the Daredevil figure, which was redone by Wally Wood.
We've got 86, which is another great Doom cover. We've got 60, which is an awesome cover. This pose
Yeah.
has been reused
Classic.
100 times. And then finally, I've got number 58, which is another awesome Doom cover. Now, I paid this one here. I paid $30 for. Right? These books traditionally have been very affordable. I started to see a trend with these books going up in value. So now is the time to pick these books up because we know Doom is coming. Doom is definitely coming. And these are just great. I mean, the colors in these covers are just vibrant and rich. And I think we lose some of that with the covers today because they're definitely just great looking covers.
Well, it was 4-color process too. Right at the engravers, and now I think you had to be a little more creative to be limited to that palette and get stuff like the gradations and this green and everything. Whereas now it's just computer coloring. Everybody wants to over render everything.
Right.
Like every individual rock on the thing would have a light source. Too much.
Great covers. You can still buy these books. This one I paid $45 for. This was probably one of the more expensive ones.
Big price tag.
But these are Silver Age books. They are, I think they're a good buy. Look for them in bins because they probably aren't going to be wall books, but they're going to be available. And they're just excellent books if you're looking to spec on Doom for a reasonable amount.
I'm looking at this again. I might be wrong.
Really?
This might be a Chick Stone cover. Let me look real quick because we'll do this live. We're gonna do it live because I'm looking at it and it doesn't look like Vince Coletta. What issue is that?
It's issue 39.
439. It is. Bam! I'm good. Chick Stone.
Does it?
Chick Stone and Wally Wood. I saw it and I was like, wait a second, that's not Vince Coletta did the interior, right?
It was
Frankie Ray.
Frankie Ray.
I'm wrong all around tonight. Boy, just earlier you were commenting on how I'm always right when I say these things, and I've been wrong. At least I caught myself.
Yeah.
Before everybody wrote in and went, "You're smart, but John, it's not Vinnie Coletta. It's Chick Stone."
Okay, so what's your underrated books?
Before we go to my underrated book, I see you have something there. You have Nova #1.
Yes, I do.
And you have a pack of Comic Clear backing boards. This is not a commercial. This is a clarification because Richard and I were talking about these last week and we were both like super nervous about them. Mm-hmm. What was our concern?
If they're acid free,
right.
The plastic breeze just like the covers, and you don't want to have any transfer of acids and things like that.
So if you guys haven't seen these yet, they're clear backing boards, so you can show.
Yep, here I've got
your
my Nova, and there's a board here. It's impossible to see because it's clear.
Right. And we were nervous, like, are these really acid free? I'm nervous to use them. I don't want to ruin my books. Well, the guy who founded this company, whose name I'm blanking on, actually left a comment in last week's video. Guys, John, Richard, settle down. They are 100% archival plastic. They are acid free. They won't harm your books. Woof! And they're actually made out of the same material as Mylars. So if you're using Mylar bags, there's no problem using these as well. So a clarification: don't be afraid of Comic Clear, according to the founder of Comic Clear.
Right, not a commercial. I bought 2 of these, 2 boxes of 25, and I use them for the higher value raws that I have. They're gorgeous. I mean, they're completely transparent. And now that we've been assured that
That's enough. He's got to pay for anything else.
Okay. Good stuff.
We wanted to clarify that. Now, if you want a full hearty endorsement, our email is bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com, and let's talk a little scratchy. I'm half joking. My underrated book this week is Infinity Inc. number 14. This is the first issue drawn by a young hotshot named Todd McFarlane. This is a series where Todd really cut his professional teeth after his little debut there in the issue of Coyote in the backup. While his pencils, you look at this, and all you see is Tony DiZanuga. I mean, he just smothers Todd McFarlane. You can still see Todd in some of the panel layouts and in some of the later issues of this run. The big, huge flowing capes,
right?
With Dr. Bones in particular, the character. Shout out to Forrest again for suggesting this book for an underrated book, because he was flipping through and he saw this picture of a big flowing crazy cape and texted it to us and said, does anybody know that Todd was doing this back then? For Infinity 14 in particular, a 90-day GPA for a CGC 9.8 is right now about $274, which is a lot more than I thought it was going to be.
That is, yeah.
Until I looked at 2022. It was selling for $354 in 2022.
Wow.
So it's actually down. So again, buy the dip. Dip. And Infinity 14, first issue for Todd. Short and sweet. There we are. You guys got extra Richard and John the last few weeks. So this one is traveling for work, short version of the show. But we always appreciate you guys. And make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods.
Or the website, bronzeandmoderngods.com.
Hit like for us. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. We're in the same room again, just for this week only.
Yeah.
It seems to be happening more and more lately, which is good. So hopefully we'll see you together again soon. But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Yeah. Everybody stay safe.